The college football playoffs coming up, man. It's the New Year's Eve tradition. They've been the ratings were down last year on the New Year's Eve. I don't know if it's the greatest night for a semifinal game, but here we are again with two huge matchups. What you say? What you say? What you?
I said it's definitely not the greatest night for
I don't really feel like watching football on New Year's Eve.
That you want people to watch.
Not even gonna lie, I'm trying to party. But we got two, huge matchups, with Alabama. Clemson is a crazy one because, I feel like this game can really solidify, like, who kind of owns this decade, who kind of owns these last couple years as, college football powers. And then also with a newcomer like Georgia, who hasn't been in a large, bowl game like this in years, playing in the college football playoff. And then OU, a school who has oftentimes been at the top and had chances to prove that, the Big 12 can play with the rest of them. And sometimes, they fell from grace and haven't shown that they can play that championship level, football. But here they are. So, and you got a Heisman Trophy winner in this bunch. You got two, and like I said, you got two teams that have been here multiple times. So I think this one is going to be very exciting. I want to hear what you guys think, kind of just on the matchups and the picks. You got Georgia, which is probably one of the best rushing teams in the country. They have three running backs. They have 2 to 3 running backs after Nick Chubb that can get the job done as well. And so they're a run first team where you have OU with Heisman Trophy winner Baker Mayfield, who's throwing for 300 yards a game. It's some of these two teams, the way they run their offenses are very just different. And then with Alabama and Clemson, it's they're almost so familiar with each other because they've been here yet again. So, and I think Clemson has a lot to prove with them being the number 1 seed this year, and Alabama also has a lot to prove because a lot of people don't think their spot is legitimate. So, who do you think wins these games? Who meets up in the championship?
For me, I think the one game that I think is a lock is Oklahoma over Georgia.
Okay, I was thinking the same.
The reason why is you have a freshman quarterback going up against the Heisman Trophy winner, and I don't care how many stable running backs you got behind you. In these bowl games, experience usually dictates victories.
Yeah.
That's why, and so I am going to take Oklahoma there. And also, did you see Nick Chubb? He was scared of riding a roller coaster. It was so embarrassing.
What?
He was on this roller coaster. It was the Guardians of the Galaxy ride. So it's not even a roller coaster. It's one of those visual things. And he's sitting there hey
nigga, that's a scary ride. I rode on that at Disney World a couple months ago. It's kind of scary. I can't even lie.
Go watch Condoms for Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay,
I'm not gonna let you play my boy Nick Chubb, man.
No, it's you can't. I don't trust anyone who can't handle.
Because the way you just did, that's how guys look when he's running towards them with the ball. So you can't play Nick Chubb just because you don't like a roller coaster.
My mom can handle a roller coaster.
Your mom can't rush for 200 yards in SEC football. I love Deb to death, but she can't do it. Right? But yeah, I agree. I say OU over Georgia just because Baker Mayfield is that good. I think he's the best player in this playoffs.
And I think Alabama versus Clemson, I think it's a great contrast of you have Clemson, who's put out more offensive talent to the NFL than pretty much any team, and then Alabama's put more defensive talent to the NFL than pretty much any college.
Yeah.
So I think it's a real fun contrast of styles. Usually you always take defense, and kind of like the Patriots, Alabama historically gets calls.
Yeah.
And Clemson does not as much. Yeah. And so in a tight game, I'm expecting Nick Saban to get some calls. Yeah. And so I like Alabama in the end, but Dabo Swinney, as much as I hate him, I hate both of these coaches.
Yeah, these are the two biggest masses in the NCAA.
To be honest, I'm rooting for a plane crash between both the planes. But if you're going to actually ask me what's going to happen between the two teams, I really think Nick Saban is more evil than Dabo Swinney, and if
I think I don't like either one of them.
I take especially in the year of Trump, take the most evil person in these playoffs, and that's Nick Saban. He's your Trump of the year. So that's that. I think in the end, I'm gonna give it to Alabama.
So you said Bama OU in the championship?
Yeah, and I love the one X factor, and I'll let Russell speak, but the one X factor is Lincoln Riley, the coach of the OU. He might be the one person who's smarter than the rest of them, and that's the one thing I don't know going into this. To me, he seems like the smartest guy in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's a good coach.
I would love to see a matchup of old school greatest coach versus what I think is going to be the new school greatest coach.
Okay.
But what do you think, Russell? Sorry for talking so much.
Well, you guys are crazy. That's number one. Number two, I think in the Clemson Alabama game, I just think we're going to all see why Alabama was on the borderline of getting. I just think they don't have that it factor. They don't have that je ne sais quoi that they usually have every year, where we're like, Alabama's the best thing in the country.
Yeah.
Like this year, I think we all know that Alabama isn't the Alabama quality of team that they always have. They still have the talent. They just don't have that. For that reason, I'm taking Clemson in the game. And then the Georgia-Oklahoma game is probably going to be the better game of the two, to me. For the simple fact that those are two teams that both can win that game. I think even with a freshman quarterback, I think Georgia can win that game if they run the football from possession and don't turn the ball over. Because Oklahoma, they're a team that if you give them the ball, they're going to score. And they're going to do it pretty quick. Yeah. And they're going to, if they control time, you're going to lose. And they're going to put up 35, 45 points on you. So if you control the clock, if you keep the ball and you don't turn the ball over, I think you have a really good chance of winning with Georgia. So I'm going to take Georgia and Clemson in the national championship with Clemson coming out on top.
Okay.
My one issue with Georgia is I'm not comparing from the freshman quarterback to Blake Bortles, but I do see some similarities with Georgia and Jacksonville Jaguars. An amazing defense, an incredible run game, and a quarterback who's supposed to get out of the way. And what I fear is that Baker Mayfield, a la Jimmy Garoppolo, is going to just simply outscore Georgia, and it's simply just put up too many points that Georgia could not compete with. And that's what scares me with the Oklahoma-Georgia game is I don't think that Georgia has the firepower unless they're getting well over 200 yards rushing. I don't see them having the firepower to compete with Oklahoma unless the defense really brings the game down to the 20s, which would surprise me. But if Oklahoma breaches 30, I feel like Georgia can't get past that. And then I feel like it's the same conversation if Georgia goes against Clemson. And I just see in the long term, they're the ones with the least likely chance to win the whole thing for me because I just don't see their offense being as explosive. I trust their quarterback the least out of the four.
That's good.
But does that wrap it up for our gold medal?
Yeah.
All right.